Here's something that will change how you see everything. Humanity, all of human history, every empire that's risen and fallen, every civilization that's flourished and collapsed, every person who's ever lived, all of it together represents about 0.00014% of the universe's existence. That's not a metaphor. That's not poetic exaggeration. That's mathematics. We are unimaginably brief. And understanding exactly how brief we are, seeing the true scale of cosmic time, reveals something profound about our place in the universe and what it means to be alive right now. If you're curious about where we really fit in the cosmos, a quick subscribe would mean the world to me, and drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from. Let's explore just how fleeting we really are. Time is strange. We experience it constantly, every second ticking by, every birthday marking another year. Every historical event we learn about seems distant, ancient from another era. But our intuition about time, the sense we've developed from living 70 or 80 or 90 years, is completely useless when dealing with cosmic time. The timescales involved in the universe's history are so vast that they break our ability to comprehend them. We can write the numbers down, we can do the math, but truly grasping what those numbers mean, understanding the depth of time we're talking about, that's nearly impossible. Think about how you experience time in your daily life. A minute feels short. Waiting 60 seconds for something can feel quick, though if you're impatient, it might feel longer. An hour is manageable. You work for an hour, watch a show for an hour, exercise for an hour. A day is the basic unit of your life. Morning, afternoon, evening, night. The cycle repeats. A week gives you structure. Monday to Friday, work or school, weekend rest. A month is longer, but still comprehensible. Seasons change over months. You notice the difference. A year's significant. Birthdays, anniversaries. The Earth completes one orbit around the Sun. You're a year older. You've changed, grown, learned things, lost things. A year matters. 10 years is a substantial portion of a human life. In 10 years, a child becomes a teenager. A young adult becomes settled in career and relationships. An older person sees a decade slip by with increasing speed. 10 years ago feels distant but accessible. You can remember it. You were there. You have photos, memories, connections to that time. 100 years is approaching the limit of human lifespan. Some people live to be 100, most don't. 100 years ago is beyond living memory for most people. The oldest people alive today were born in the 1920s. Everything before that is history, not lived experience. No one alive remembers World War I. No one remembers the 19th century. Those times exist only in records, photographs, stories passed down, not in direct memory. 1,000 years is completely beyond human experience. 1,000 years ago, it was the year 1025, the medieval period. Vikings, feudal systems, castles and knights. No one alive has any connection to that time except through history books and archaeology. The people who lived then are not just dead, they're dust. Their children are dust. Their children's children are dust. Centuries of generations have come and gone. Everything from 1,000 years ago feels ancient, primitive, impossibly distant. And yet, 1,000 years is nothing on cosmic timescales. It's not even a rounding error. It's invisible, insignificant, a momentary flicker. The universe is 13.8 billion years old. 13,800,000,000 years. Let me write that out so you can see it. 13,800 million years. Or, if you prefer, 13.8 with 9 zeros after it. 13,800,000 years. The number is so large it stops meaning anything. Your brain sees it as just big, really big, but not in any way you can relate to or understand intuitively. So let's try to build some intuition. Let's scale time down to something more manageable and see where humanity fits. Imagine the entire history of the universe compressed into 1 year, all 13.8 billion years squeezed into 365 days. January 1st at midnight, the Big Bang happens. The universe begins. For the first few months, it's mostly just expanding, cooling, forming the first atoms, the first structures. Stars don't form immediately. Galaxies don't form immediately. It takes time even on this compressed scale. The first stars probably form around late January, early February in our cosmic year, small hot stars made of hydrogen and helium. They live fast and die young, exploding as supernovae, scattering heavier elements into space. These elements will eventually form planets and people, but not yet. The Milky Way galaxy, our home galaxy, forms sometime around late February or early March. It starts as a small collection of stars and gas that gradually grows through mergers with other small galaxies and through the formation of new stars from collapsing gas clouds. By mid-year, maybe June or July, the Milky Way is recognizable as a spiral galaxy, though it's still growing and evolving. Our solar system, the Sun and Earth and all the planets, doesn't form until much later. September 2nd. Think about that. If the universe's history is 1 year, our solar system doesn't form until September 2nd. 8 months pass before we even exist. 2/3 of cosmic history happens before the Sun ignites. Earth forms along with the other planets from a disk of gas and dust orbiting the young Sun. It's a violent process. Countless collisions between smaller bodies gradually build up the planets. Earth gets hit by a Mars-sized object early in its history, a catastrophic impact that creates the Moon. The Earth's surface is molten. There's no atmosphere suitable for life, no oceans, just a hellish ball of rock and metal slowly cooling. Over time, hundreds of millions of years, Earth cools enough for the surface to solidify. Water vapor in the atmosphere condenses and falls as rain. The oceans form. The planet becomes potentially habitable. This takes until maybe mid-September in our cosmic calendar. Life appears surprisingly quickly after Earth becomes habitable. The earliest evidence of life dates to about 3.8 billion years ago, maybe as early as 4 billion years ago, though the evidence is unclear. On our cosmic calendar, that's around September 10th or so. Just a week after Earth forms, life is already here. This is remarkable. It suggests that life emerges relatively easily once conditions are right. But here's the thing. That early life is nothing like what we think of when we imagine living things. It's single-celled. Bacteria, archaea, simple organisms without nuclei, without complex internal structures, just cells floating in the ancient oceans, absorbing chemicals, splitting in two, and they stay that way for an incredibly long time. For most of Earth's history, life is microscopic and simple. Single cells dominate the planet for billions of years. In our cosmic calendar, from mid-September all the way until late November, Earth is covered in microbial life and nothing else. No plants, no animals, no fungi, no complex organisms of any kind. Just bacteria and archaea forming mats on the ocean floor, floating in the water, maybe coating rocks near hot springs. They're busy, don't get me wrong. They're evolving. They're developing new metabolisms, new ways of extracting energy from their environment. Some learn to use sunlight, developing photosynthesis. This is huge. It changes everything. The development of photosynthesis leads to what's called the Great Oxygenation Event. Cyanobacteria, a type of photosynthetic bacteria, start producing oxygen as a waste product. At first, this oxygen gets absorbed by dissolved iron in the oceans, forming rust that settles to the ocean floor. We see this today as banded iron formations, distinctive red and black layers of rock that date to this period. But eventually, all the iron gets used up. The oceans become saturated with oxygen, and the oxygen starts leaking into the atmosphere. This happens about 2.4 billion years ago, around late October in our cosmic calendar. The Great Oxygenation Event is probably the most significant environmental change in Earth's history. The atmosphere goes from having almost no oxygen to having substantial amounts. This is catastrophic for most existing life, because oxygen is toxic to organisms that evolved without it. Many species go extinct, but oxygen also creates opportunities. It's a potent energy source. Organisms that can use oxygen in their metabolism can extract much more energy from food than organisms that can't. This allows for bigger, more complex cells. And eventually, around 2 billion years ago, early November in our cosmic year, complex cells with nuclei evolve. These are called eukaryotes. They're our ancestors. Eukaryotic cells are much more complex than bacterial cells. They have a nucleus containing their DNA. They have mitochondria, specialized structures that generate energy using oxygen. They have other internal compartments, each with specific functions. These cells can do things bacteria can't. They can grow larger, they can specialize, and eventually they can form multicellular organisms. But this takes time. Single-celled eukaryotes dominate for another billion years or so. It's not until around November 20th or so in our cosmic year, about 600 million years ago in real time, that we start seeing complex multicellular life. Animals, plants, fungi, the explosion of complex life that transforms Earth from a microbial planet to the diverse biosphere we know today. This period, around 540 to 530 million years ago, is called the Cambrian explosion. Within a geologically brief period, maybe 20 million years, most of the major groups of animals appear in the fossil record. Arthropods, mollusks, worms, early chordates, the group that will eventually lead to fish and then to us. The oceans fill with strange creatures unlike anything alive today. Trilobites scuttling across the sea floor, Anomalocaris, a large predator with grasping appendages, Hallucigenia, a bizarre worm-like creature with spines and tentacles. Life is still entirely aquatic. Nothing lives on land yet. The land is barren rock and sand. But in the oceans, life is diversifying explosively. This is late November in our cosmic year. The universe has been around for more than 11 months. Earth has existed for nearly 3 months. Life has been present for more than 2 months. And only now, in the last week of November, does complex life appear. Everything before this, all those billions of years, was dominated by single cells. This is important to understand. Complex life, the kind we think of as normal, is recent. It's a late development. For most of Earth's history, life was simple, and for most of the universe's history, Earth didn't exist at all. Fish evolve in the Cambrian and diversify through the following periods. The first fish have no jaws, just simple sucker mouths. Later, jawed fish evolve, and they become the dominant vertebrates. Around 370 million years ago, late November in our calendar, some fish develop lobed fins that can support their weight. They start venturing onto land, perhaps to escape predators or reach new food sources. These are the first tetrapods, the ancestors of all land vertebrates, including us. At first, they're still tied to water. They have to return to water to breed, but gradually, adaptations evolve that allow full terrestrial life, amniotic eggs that can be laid on land, waterproof skin, more efficient lungs. Reptiles evolve. Reptiles dominate the land for hundreds of millions of years. Dinosaurs are the most famous reptiles, but they're just one group among many. Dinosaurs first appear around 230 million years ago, late November in our cosmic year. They diversify into an incredible array of forms: small predators, massive sauropods with long necks, armored ankylosaurs, horned ceratopsians, carnivorous tyrannosaurs, flying pterosaurs, though technically pterosaurs aren't dinosaurs, they're close relatives. For about 165 million years, from 230 million years ago to 66 million years ago, dinosaurs are the dominant large animals on land. They're successful, they're diverse, they occupy nearly every ecological niche available. And then, 66 million years ago, December 26th in our cosmic year, disaster strikes. An asteroid about 10 kilometers across slams into Earth near what's now the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. The impact releases energy equivalent to billions of nuclear bombs. The shockwave levels everything for thousands of kilometers. Tsunamis, hundreds of meters tall, race across the oceans. Ejected debris rains back down, heating the atmosphere and igniting wildfires across the globe. Dust and soot fill the atmosphere, blocking sunlight for months or years. Temperatures plummet. Photosynthesis stops. Plants die. Herbivores starve. Carnivores that depend on herbivores starve. About 75% of all species go extinct. The dinosaurs, except for birds, are wiped out. It's one of the 5 major mass extinctions in Earth's history. But extinctions create opportunities. With the dinosaurs gone, the surviving mammals, which had been small and mostly nocturnal during the dinosaur era, begin to diversify and grow larger. Mammals had existed for a long time, evolving around the same time as dinosaurs, but they'd been constrained by competition from dinosaurs. Now, in the aftermath of the extinction, they expand into empty ecological niches. By December 27th, just a day later in our cosmic year, mammals have diversified significantly. There are large herbivores, large carnivores, mammals living in trees, mammals living in water, mammals flying. The world is transformed. Primates, the group that includes monkeys, apes, and humans, evolved from small tree-dwelling mammals around 55 to 60 million years ago. Still late December in our cosmic calendar. Early primates are small, perhaps similar to modern lemurs or tarsiers. They have grasping hands, forward-facing eyes for depth perception, and larger brains relative to body size than most other mammals. These traits evolve for life in the trees. Grasping hands for holding branches, binocular vision for judging distances when leaping, larger brains for processing complex three-dimensional environments. Over time, primates diversify. Some lineages lead to monkeys, others lead to apes, and one ape lineage will eventually lead to us. The last common ancestor of humans and chimpanzees lived about 6 to 7 million years ago. December 31st, around 8 in the morning in our cosmic calendar. From this ancestor, two lineages split. One leads to modern chimpanzees and bonobos. The other leads to humans. The human lineage, called hominins, includes many species: Australopithecines, Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Neanderthals, Denisovans, and eventually Homo sapiens. Modern humans, us, we appear around 300,000 years ago, December 31st, around 11:30 in the evening, half an hour before midnight, half an hour before the end of our cosmic year. 300,000 years sounds like a long time, and by human standards it is. It's thousands of generations, but in cosmic terms, it's nothing. It's the last half hour of the year. Everything we think of as human history, agriculture, cities, writing, empires, everything happens in the last few minutes of that half hour. Agriculture begins around 10,000 years ago, December 31st, 11:59 p.m. and 40 seconds. 20 seconds before midnight. The first cities form around 6,000 years ago, 15 seconds before midnight. Writing is invented around 5,000 years ago, 12 seconds before midnight. The pyramids of Egypt are built 11 seconds before midnight. The Roman Empire rises and falls in the last 6 seconds. The Renaissance happens 2 seconds before midnight. The Industrial Revolution happens in the last half second. World War II ended 0.2 seconds ago. The Internet was invented 0.1 seconds ago. Your entire life, if you're 80 years old, represents about 0.018 seconds of our cosmic year, less than 2/100ths of a second, a blink, a tiny fraction of the last second before midnight. If you're younger, it's even less. If you're 20, your life is about 0.0045 seconds, less than 5,000ths of a second. And all of recorded history, everything written down, everything we know about the past, from direct records rather than archaeology, all of that is about 12/100ths of a second. Everything that has ever been recorded about human events, every war, every invention, every person whose name we know, fits into the last 10th of a second of our cosmic year. Let me put this another way. If the universe's age is represented by a 24-hour day instead of a year, Earth forms around 4 p.m. Life appears around 5 p.m. Complex life doesn't show up until around 10:30 p.m. Dinosaurs rule from about 11:10 p.m. to 11:40 p.m. Humans appear at 11:59 p.m. and 59.7 seconds. 3/10ths of a second before midnight. All of human civilization, from the first farms to now, happens in the last 0.008 seconds. Less than 1/100th of a second. You can't even perceive a time span that short. It's faster than you can blink, faster than you can snap your fingers. And that's all of human history. Here's another way to visualize it. Imagine you're standing with your arms stretched out to either side. Your fingertips represent the beginning and end of Earth's history. 4.5 billion years from fingertip to fingertip. The distance from your left fingertip to your right shoulder represents the time before complex life. Single cells only. Your right shoulder to your right elbow is the age of complex life, but before humans. Your right elbow to your right wrist is the age of mammals after the dinosaurs. Your right wrist to the base of your right hand is the age of primates. The length of your hand represents the time since humans and chimpanzees split. Your fingernails represent the existence of Homo sapiens, and a single stroke of a nail file, removing the tiniest bit of your fingernail, erases all of human civilization, all of recorded history, everything, gone with one swipe of the file. These metaphors help, but they still don't fully convey the scale. Numbers this large break our intuition. We can understand them intellectually, we can do the math, we can create analogies, but we can't feel them. We can't truly grasp what 13.8 billion years means. It's too far beyond our experience. We live at most 100 years. We remember maybe 80 years. We have a sense of history going back maybe a few hundred years based on stories and culture. Beyond that, it's abstract. Medieval times feel as distant as ancient Rome, which feels as distant as ancient Egypt, which feels as distant as the first humans. They're all just old, impossibly old, but they're not. They're recent. They're all within that last second of our cosmic day. They're all in the same moment cosmically. The universe existed for 9 billion years before Earth formed. 9 billion years of stars being born and dying, galaxies forming and colliding, black holes growing, supernovae exploding. All of that happens before our solar system exists. When Earth finally forms, it's in a second or third generation solar system. The sun and planets form from material that was part of previous stars. The heavy elements in Earth, the iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the carbon in your cells, all of it was forged in stars that exploded before the sun existed. We're made of stardust. That's not poetic license. It's literal truth. The atoms in your body existed in previous stars. They've been around for billions of years, recycled through multiple generations of stellar birth and death before eventually ending up in you. And you exist for maybe 80 years. Those atoms that have been around for billions of years come together in a specific configuration. That's you. And then you die, and the atoms disperse. They return to the environment. They become part of other things, other organisms, the soil, the ocean. Eventually, maybe billions of years in the future, the sun will expand into a red giant and consume Earth, and those atoms will be blasted back into space, where they might eventually become part of new stars and new planets. The atoms are essentially permanent, but their configuration as you is temporary. Brief. A moment. Earth itself is temporary. The sun is slowly getting brighter as it ages. In about 1 billion years, the increased solar radiation will heat Earth enough that the oceans start to evaporate. Water vapor is a greenhouse gas, so this creates a runaway effect. The planet heats up. The oceans boil away. Earth becomes a hot, dry, lifeless rock, similar to Venus. Long before this happens, probably within a few 100 million years, Earth will become uninhabitable for complex life. Maybe some microbes will survive in deep underground environments, but everything else will be gone. The age of complex life on Earth, which began about 600 million years ago, will end maybe 800 million to 1 billion years from now. Total duration, about 1.5 billion years. In cosmic terms, a brief flourishing. A moment when conditions were right for complexity. The sun itself will last about 10 billion years total. It's currently about 4.5 billion years old, so it's roughly halfway through its life. In about 5 billion years, the sun will exhaust the hydrogen in its core and begin burning hydrogen in a shell around the core. This causes the sun to expand dramatically, becoming a red giant. It will grow to about 100 times its current radius, possibly engulfing the orbits of Mercury and Venus, possibly reaching Earth. Whether Earth gets consumed or not, it will certainly be sterilized, the surface heated to thousands of degrees. After a few million years as a red giant, the sun will shed its outer layers in a planetary nebula, leaving behind a white dwarf, a dense remnant about the size of Earth but with half the sun's mass. The white dwarf will slowly cool over trillions of years, eventually becoming a cold, dark cinder. White dwarfs are the end state for most stars, including the sun. But the universe will keep going. Galaxies will continue to collide and merge. New stars will form from remaining gas. But the rate of star formation will decline over time because the universe is running out of the raw materials needed to make stars. Most of the hydrogen and helium from the Big Bang is already locked up in stars or dead stellar remnants. Eventually, maybe 100 trillion years from now, the last stars will burn out. The universe will be dark. No more stars, just dead remnants, white dwarfs, neutron stars, black holes, and darkness. Even those remnants won't last forever. Black holes evaporate through a process called Hawking radiation. It's incredibly slow. A solar mass black hole takes 10 to the 67 years to evaporate. That's 10 with 67 zeros after it. A number so large it's meaningless. But eventually, even black holes die. The universe ends in what's called heat death. Maximum entropy. No structure, no energy gradients, just a cold, dark, uniform sea of particles spread across an ever-expanding space. This is trillions upon trillions of years in the future. Time spans that make the current age of the universe seem like a brief moment. But let's come back to now, to human timescales, to your life. You exist in this brief moment when Earth is habitable, when the sun is stable, when conditions are right for complex life. This moment won't last. In cosmic terms, it's already nearly over. Earth's habitability is more than halfway gone. The sun is middle-aged. The universe is old. We live in the late stages of the age when stars exist. In the far future, any intelligent beings that evolve, if any do, will live in a cold, dark universe with no stars. They won't see the night sky we see. They won't have galaxies to observe. They won't see nebulae or supernova. They'll live in darkness. We're lucky. We exist at a time when the universe is still bright, still active, still full of light and structure and complexity. And within this brief moment of cosmic habitability, you exist for an even briefer moment. Your conscious experience, your ability to think and feel and wonder exists for maybe 80 years, probably less. The average human lifespan is about 72 years globally. In developed countries, it's higher, mid-80s. In less developed regions, it's lower, but let's say 80 years. That's about 4,000 weeks, 29,000 days, 700,000 hours, 42 million minutes, 2.5 billion seconds. That's how long you have, and you're already some fraction of the way through. If you're 20, you've used up a quarter of your weeks. If you're 40, you've used up half. If you're 60, you've used up 3/4. The time is finite. It's slipping by. Every second that passes is a second you'll never get back. This awareness of time's passage can be uncomfortable. It can create anxiety, a sense of urgency, a feeling that you need to accomplish things before time runs out. And there's some truth to that. Time is limited. You can't waste it. But there's also something liberating about understanding cosmic time. When you see how brief everything is, how temporary all things are, it puts your own concerns in perspective. That embarrassing thing you did years ago that you still crumble about. It happened in the last fraction of a second of cosmic time. That failure, that regret, that shame, it's nothing. It's gone. It barely registered on cosmic scales. The universe doesn't remember it, doesn't care. It's only you holding on to it. This doesn't mean your experiences don't matter. They do. They matter to you. They matter to the people around you. But they don't have cosmic significance. And that's okay. Nothing has cosmic significance except the cosmos itself. You're not supposed to be cosmically significant. You're supposed to be humanly significant to your family, your friends, your community, to yourself. That's enough. That's everything, actually, because that's the scale you live at. You don't live at cosmic scales. You live at human scales. And at human scales, your life is enormously significant. Every decision you make matters. Every relationship you build matters. Every moment of joy or connection or understanding matters. The cosmic perspective doesn't diminish this. It enhances it. Because when you realize how improbable your existence is, how many things had to go right for you to be here, you appreciate it more. Think about all the requirements. The universe had to have the right physical constants. If gravity were slightly stronger, stars would burn too fast and die before life could evolve. If it were slightly weaker, stars might never form at all. The strong nuclear force that holds atomic nuclei together had to be just right, too strong, and protons would fuse too easily, converting all hydrogen to helium in the early universe. Too weak, and complex atoms couldn't form. The electromagnetic force, the weak nuclear force, all of them had to be tuned precisely for a universe that allows complexity. And that's just the beginning. The universe had to evolve for billions of years, forming galaxies and stars. One of those stars had to explode as a supernova, creating heavy elements. Those elements had to be incorporated into a new star system. That star had to be the right type, not too big, not too small, stable for billions of years. Planets had to form. One planet had to be in the habitable zone, not too close to the star, not too far. Water had to be present. An atmosphere had to form. The planet needed a large moon to stabilize its rotation axis, preventing extreme climate swings. It needed plate tectonics to recycle carbon and maintain temperatures. It needed a magnetic field to protect life from cosmic radiation. And that's still not enough. Life had to emerge from non-living chemistry. We don't fully understand how this happens, but it clearly did. Single cells had to evolve for billions of years, developing complex metabolisms, photosynthesis, oxygen production. Complex cells had to evolve from simpler ones. Multicellular life had to evolve. Animals, nervous systems, brains. Fish had to crawl onto land. Reptiles had to evolve. Mammals had to survive the dinosaur extinction. Primates had to evolve. Humans had to evolve from other apes. And then, after all of that, your specific ancestors had to survive, every single one of them, for hundreds of thousands of years. Through ice ages and droughts and plagues and predators and accidents and violence and starvation, any one of your ancestors could have died before reproducing, and you wouldn't exist. The odds against your existence are astronomical, and yet, here you are, reading this, thinking about cosmic time, contemplating your place in the universe. You won the cosmic lottery. You exist, and not just as any organism, but as a human, a species with consciousness, language, abstract thought, the ability to wonder about our origins and our place in the cosmos. You could have been a bacterium. You could have been a plant. You could have been an insect or a fish or a mouse, but you're human. You have this incredible brain that allows you to understand, at least conceptually, the vast scale of time and space. You can think about the Big Bang. You can imagine billions of years. You can contemplate your own existence and what it means. That's extraordinary. Most organisms can't do this. A tree doesn't contemplate its place in the universe. It grows toward light, extends its roots toward water, but it doesn't wonder why. A dog doesn't ponder the meaning of existence. It lives in the moment, responding to immediate stimuli. Even our closest relatives, chimpanzees, don't seem to have the deep capacity for abstract thought that humans have. They're intelligent. They use tools, communicate, have complex social relationships. But they don't build cities or write books or send spacecraft to other planets. They don't wonder about the origin of the universe. That's uniquely human. As far as we know, we're the only species that does this, the only species that looks up at the stars and asks why. This makes us special in a way, not cosmically special. The universe is vast. There are probably billions of habitable planets in our galaxy alone. Some of them almost certainly have life. Some might have intelligent life. We might not be alone in wondering about our place in the cosmos, but we're still special because we're here. We exist. We're doing the wondering. And whether or not there are others out there doing the same thing, our experience matters. Our questions matter. Our brief moment of existence in this vast cosmic story matters because we're living it. And here's something else to consider. You're not just existing at a random point in cosmic history. You're existing at a very specific point. A point when stars still shine, when planets are still habitable, when the universe is still young enough to be interesting, but old enough to have produced complexity. In the far future, as I mentioned, the universe will be dark, no more stars. Any beings that exist then, if any can, will live in a completely different universe. They won't see what we see. They won't have access to the light that lets us study the cosmos. They'll be trapped in darkness, unable to observe anything beyond their immediate surroundings. We live in the golden age of the universe, the age when stars light up the night sky, when galaxies shine with billions of suns, when nebulae glow with the light of newly forming stars, when supernovae explode in brilliant displays. This age won't last forever. It's already halfway over. Stars have been shining for about 13 billion years. They'll shine for maybe another 100 trillion years. But that's still finite. Eventually, the lights go out. We're lucky. We exist during the bright phase. We can see the stars. We can study them. We can send spacecraft to explore our solar system. We can observe galaxies billions of light years away. We can piece together the history of the universe from the Big Bang to now. Future civilizations, if they exist, won't be able to do this. The evidence will be gone. They'll be stuck in the dark. So your existence is improbable, not just in terms of the conditions required, but also in terms of when you exist. You exist at a special time, a time when the universe is knowable, when observation and experiment can reveal cosmic truths, when light from the distant past can still reach us, carrying information about the early universe. In a few trillion years, that light will be redshifted beyond detection. The cosmic microwave background, the afterglow of the Big Bang that we can see today, will be redshifted into radio waves with wavelengths larger than the observable universe. It will be undetectable. Future beings won't know about the Big Bang. They won't have the evidence we have. They'll live in darkness and ignorance. We're privileged. We live when understanding is possible. Let's think more about human timescales specifically. Recorded history is about 5,000 years old. Writing was invented independently in several places. Mesopotamia around 3,200 BCE. Egypt around the same time. The Indus Valley perhaps slightly later. China around 1,200 BCE. Mesoamerica around 600 BCE. Before writing, there's no recorded history. There are archaeological remains. tools, buildings, graves, art, but no written records, no names, no stories. We can infer what people did, but we don't know what they thought. We don't know their individual experiences. They're anonymous, lost to time. With writing comes history. We know names. We know events. We can read what people wrote and understand, at least partially, how they saw the world. The Epic of Gilgamesh is one of the oldest known works of literature, dating to about 2100 BCE. It's a story about a king, Gilgamesh, and his friend Enkidu, their adventures, Enkidu's death, Gilgamesh's search for immortality. It's 4,000 years old, and we can still read it. We can connect with the humans who wrote it, who read it, who cared about these characters. That's the power of writing. It creates a connection across time, a way for the dead to speak to the living. But 5,000 years is nothing cosmically. It's 0.00004% of the universe's age. It's 0.001% of Earth's age. It's 0.02% of the time life has existed. It's the last instant of the last instant. All of recorded history, everything written down, every person whose name we know, every event we can date precisely, all of it fits into this tiny sliver of time. Everything before is prehistory, unknown except through archaeology, and even prehistory, the last few 100,000 years of human and near-human existence, is tiny. The 300,000 years since Homo sapiens evolved is 0.002% of the universe's age, 0.007% of Earth's age, 0.01% of life's existence. It's nothing. A flash, a moment. Within recorded history, we can see patterns. Civilizations rise. They grow powerful. They dominate their regions. They build monuments that seem eternal, and then they fall. Egypt's pharaonic civilization lasted about 3,000 years, the longest-lived continuous civilization we know of, and even it ended, conquered by Persia, then Greece, then Rome. The pyramids still stand, impressive testaments to their builders' skill, but the civilization that built them is gone. The language is dead. The religion is dead. The political system is dead. All that remains are ruins and artifacts. Rome lasted about 1,000 years, if you count the Republic and Empire together. At its height, it controlled the entire Mediterranean basin. It seemed invincible. Roman citizens probably thought their civilization would last forever, but it didn't. The Western Empire collapsed in 476 CE. The Eastern Empire lasted another 1,000 years, finally falling to the Ottoman Turks in 1453. But even that was no longer really Roman. It was Greek-speaking, Christian, medieval, very different from the empire Augustus founded. Everything changes. Nothing lasts. Every empire falls. Every civilization ends. The Akkadians, the Babylonians, the Assyrians, the Persians, the Greeks, the Romans, the Byzantines, the Arabs, the Mongols, the Spanish, the British. All of them rose. All of them fell. Some lasted centuries. None lasted forever. This pattern repeats throughout history. Power concentrates. A state or empire becomes dominant. And then, through some combination of internal decay and external pressure, it crumbles. The specifics vary. Sometimes it's conquest. Sometimes it's economic collapse. Sometimes it's environmental change. sometimes it's plague, but the result is the same. The mighty fall. The permanent proves temporary. We live in a time when the United States is the dominant global power. This seems normal if you grew up during or after World War II. American dominance has been a feature of the world for 80 years. 3 or 4 generations have lived their entire lives in a world where America was on top. But 80 years is nothing historically. It's likely, based on historical patterns, that American dominance will end eventually. Maybe soon, maybe in centuries, but eventually, just as British dominance ended, just as Roman dominance ended, just as every previous dominance ended. This isn't about politics. It's not a statement about any particular country or ideology. It's about time, about the impermanence of all human institutions. Nations come and go, empires rise and fall. Even the longest-lived civilizations are brief moments in cosmic time, and in human time, they're still not that long. A 3,000-year civilization is 40 generations, 40 lifetimes. That's it. Your great-great-great-grandfather times 40. It's comprehensible, countable, not eternal. What about your own lifetime? How does it fit into this? If you live 80 years, you span about 3 generations. Your grandparents' generation, your parents' generation, your generation. Maybe you see the beginning of your children's or grandchildren's generation. 4 generations total that overlap with your life. Each generation is about 25 to 30 years. You might remember stories from people who lived 100 years before you were born. A grandmother born in 1900 might tell you about her childhood, and you carry those memories forward to 2050 or beyond. That's 150 years of memory, roughly 6 generations. That's how far direct human memory reaches. Before that, it's written records or nothing. This means most of human history is beyond living memory. No one alive remembers World War I. A few people remember World War II, but they're very old. Most people don't remember a world before television, before antibiotics, before nuclear weapons. These things all emerged in the last 80 years, within living memory. The world has changed dramatically in that time. Your grandparents, if they're still alive, grew up in a completely different world. No internet, no smartphones, no GPS. You couldn't look up information instantly. You couldn't contact anyone, anywhere, anytime. You had to go to libraries, use encyclopedias, write letters, make phone calls on landlines. Travel was slower and more difficult. Medical care was less advanced. Many diseases that are curable now were death sentences. Life expectancy was lower. The world was, in many ways, harder. And yet, your grandparents' childhood isn't even ancient history. It's within living memory. There are people alive right now who remember it. But to you, if you're young, it seems like a different era. You can't imagine life without the internet, without smartphones, without instant access to information and communication. The world changes fast, faster now than ever before. The pace of technological change has accelerated dramatically in the last 2 centuries. Before the Industrial Revolution, life changed slowly. A medieval peasant lived much like a Roman peasant, even though 1,000 years separated them. Both farmed with hand tools. Both lived in small villages. Both had short life expectancies and limited mobility. The technology was similar, the social structures were similar, life was hard, short, and repetitive. But then, starting around 1750, things began to change. The Industrial Revolution transformed everything. Machines replaced human and animal labor. Coal and later oil provided cheap energy. Production increased. Cities grew. Transportation improved. Steam engines, railroads, steamships, telegraphs, electricity, internal combustion engines, airplanes, radio, television, computers. Each innovation built on previous ones, accelerating the pace of change. The 20th century saw more technological change than all previous centuries combined, and the 21st century is continuing that acceleration. We're living through the most rapid period of change in human history. This acceleration creates a disconnect between generations. Your grandparents grew up in one world. Your parents grew up in another. You're growing up in yet another. And your children, if you have them, will grow up in a world you can barely imagine. Each generation experiences a different reality. This is new. For most of history, each generation lived much like the previous one. Change happened, but slowly. Your life would be similar to your parents' lives, which were similar to their parents' lives. Traditions and knowledge passed down reliably because the world didn't change much. But now, the world changes so fast that traditions struggle to keep up. Knowledge becomes outdated. Skills that were valuable become obsolete. Entire industries disappear. New ones emerge. This creates both opportunities and challenges. Opportunities because change creates new possibilities. Things that were impossible become possible. Problems that seemed intractable get solved. Diseases get cured. Communications improve. Living standards rise. But challenges too, because change is disorienting. It's hard to know what to teach children when you don't know what skills they'll need. It's hard to plan for a future that's unpredictable. It's hard to maintain connections to the past when the past seems irrelevant to the present. We're living in a unique historical moment, a hinge point where the old stable world is disappearing and a new rapidly changing world is emerging. And we have to navigate this transition with the brains and instincts we evolved over millions of years in a much slower, more predictable environment. Our brains are not designed for the modern world. They're designed for the world our ancestors lived in. Small tribes of a few dozen to a few hundred people. Everyone you knew personally, face to face. No anonymity, no strangers. You gathered food, hunted, raised children, told stories, maintained relationships. The environment changed with the seasons, but was otherwise stable. Danger came from predators, starvation, accidents, disease, conflict with other groups. Your brain evolved to handle these challenges, to remember faces and relationships, to detect threats, to coordinate with others, to plan for the near future, to learn and pass on knowledge, but not to handle the complexity of modern life. Modern life bombards you with information, news from around the world, updates from hundreds of social media connections, entertainment on demand, work that never stops because you're always connected, decisions about what to buy, what to watch, what to read, what to believe. Your ancestors didn't face these challenges. They had limited information, limited choices. They knew everyone in their community. They had clear roles and expectations. Life was hard in material terms. Starvation and disease were real threats, but it was simpler psychologically. You knew what you needed to do. You knew your place in the social order. You had a community that supported you. Modern life offers material abundance that our ancestors couldn't imagine. Food is plentiful. Shelter is secure. Medical care extends lifespan. Technology provides comfort and convenience, but it also creates psychological challenges. Loneliness despite constant digital connection, anxiety about the future, decision paralysis from too many options, comparison to others through social media, a sense that you're not achieving enough, not experiencing enough, not living up to your potential. These are modern problems. Problems of abundance and complexity rather than scarcity and simplicity. And they're real. They affect mental health, happiness, relationships. Understanding cosmic time doesn't solve these problems, but it provides perspective. When you realize how brief everything is, how temporary all things are, it changes what matters. The anxiety about your career, about whether you're successful enough, diminishes when you realize that all careers are brief. All success is temporary. In 100 years, no one will remember your job title or your salary or your achievements. They'll all be forgotten. What matters is the moments you experience, the relationships you build, the joy you feel, the love you give and receive. These are immediate, real, human-scaled. They don't have cosmic significance, but they have personal significance. And that's what matters while you're alive. The cosmic perspective also helps with fear. Fear of death, fear of obsolescence, fear that your life doesn't matter. Death is inevitable. Everything that lives dies. Every star burns out. Every planet becomes sterile. Every structure decays. Entropy always increases. The universe moves inexorably toward heat death. Nothing lasts. But this doesn't mean nothing matters. It means that meaning is something we create, not something we discover. You matter because you decide you matter, because you live as if you matter, because you treat others as if they matter. Meaning is local, personal, human-scaled. It doesn't require cosmic permanence. It just requires existence, experience, connection. You exist for a brief time. In that time, you can do things, experience things, create things, love people, help people, learn about the universe, wonder about your place in it. These activities don't change the universe. The universe doesn't care whether you exist or not. But you care. The people around you care. And that's enough. You don't need to be cosmically significant to live a meaningful life. You just need to be humanly significant to yourself and to others. That's the scale you operate at. That's the scale where meaning exists. So here we are, humans, briefly alive on a planet that will eventually become uninhabitable, orbiting a star that will eventually burn out, in a universe that will eventually go dark. Our entire species has existed for a fraction of a second of cosmic time. Our civilization has existed for a fraction of a second of that fraction of a second. Your individual life is a fraction of a second of that. You're a brief pattern of atoms that will soon dissolve back into the environment. In cosmic terms, you're nothing, insignificant, temporary. And yet, here you are, aware, thinking, wondering, experiencing. That's extraordinary. Against all odds, the universe has arranged itself into a pattern that can contemplate itself, that can understand, at least partially, where it came from and where it's going, that can appreciate beauty, create art, love others, seek truth. You are the universe becoming conscious of itself for a brief moment, a cosmic instant, and then you're gone. But the moment existed. You existed, and that's something. Think about the people you love, your family, your friends, the people who matter to you. They're experiencing the same brief moment you are. Their time is limited too. Every moment you share with them is precious because there are only so many. You don't have forever. Nobody does. This isn't meant to create anxiety or pressure. It's meant to create appreciation, gratitude for what you have while you have it, presence in the moments that make up your life. Because those moments are all you get. They're brief, they're temporary, they're cosmically insignificant, but they're yours. And they're real, and they matter more than anything in the universe because they're what you experience. They're your life. The experience of time also changes as you age. Children experience time slowly. A year when you're 5 years old is 20% of your entire life. It's enormous. A summer vacation feels endless. Waiting for your birthday feels like forever. Time crawls, but as you get older, time speeds up. A year when you're 50 is only 2% of your life. It passes quickly. Summers fly by. Birthdays come faster. This is partly because each year represents a smaller fraction of your total life. But it's also because novelty slows down perceived time. Children experience everything for the first time. Each day brings new experiences, new learning, new discovery. This makes time feel rich and full. Adults fall into routines. Each day is similar to the last. You've experienced most things before. This makes time feel compressed. Days blur together. Weeks pass without distinct memories. Years disappear. You can slow down your perception of time by introducing novelty, by doing new things, traveling to new places, learning new skills, meeting new people, breaking routines. When you do this, time expands again. You create more memories. Each day feels more distinct. A week of travel feels longer than a month of routine. This is why childhood feels so long and adulthood feels so short. Childhood is all novelty. Adulthood is mostly routine. If you want your life to feel longer, to feel richer, you need to keep introducing new experiences. Keep learning, keep growing, keep breaking patterns. This won't give you more time objectively. You still only have so many days, but it will make those days feel more full, more memorable, more lived. This brings us to an important question. What should you do with your limited time? How should you spend the brief moment you have? There's no single answer. Different people value different things. Some prioritize career success. Others prioritize relationships. Some seek adventure and experience. Others seek peace and contentment. Some want to create something that outlasts them. Others are content to simply exist and enjoy the moment. None of these approaches is inherently better than the others. They're all valid ways to spend a life. The key is to be intentional about it, to choose how you spend your time rather than letting it happen to you by default. Many people drift through life. They follow the path of least resistance. They do what's expected, what's comfortable, what requires the least effort or risk. They work jobs they don't care about. They maintain relationships out of obligation. They pursue goals they don't really want. They say yes when they mean no. They put off things that matter for things that are urgent but unimportant. And then they reach the end and wonder where the time went, why their life doesn't feel like theirs, why they feel unfulfilled despite doing everything right. This is the danger of not being intentional, of not choosing. Time passes, whether you choose or not, but if you don't choose, someone or something else chooses for you, and you end up living a life that doesn't reflect your values or desires. Being intentional doesn't mean having everything figured out. It doesn't mean making perfect choices. It just means paying attention, asking yourself what matters, what brings you joy or meaning or satisfaction, and then organizing your life around those things. Saying no to things that don't align with your values, even if they're expected or easy. Saying yes to things that do align, even if they're difficult or scary. This is hard. Society has expectations. Family has expectations. You have internalized expectations from years of conditioning. Breaking free from these to do what actually matters to you requires courage and clarity. The cosmic perspective helps here. When you realize how brief everything is, it becomes easier to let go of things that don't matter. Other people's opinions about your choices, they don't matter. Those people will be dead in a few decades. Their opinions will be forgotten. Your reputation? It doesn't matter. In 100 years, no one will remember you anyway. Your status, your possessions, your achievements, they don't matter cosmically. They're all temporary. You can't take any of it with you. All you have is the experience of being alive, the moments you live through, the feelings you feel, the connections you make. These are immediate and real. They don't require external validation. They don't persist beyond your life. But they're what life is made of. This doesn't mean you should be nihilistic or hedonistic. It doesn't mean nothing matters, so you might as well do whatever you want. Because things do matter, just not cosmically. They matter humanly, to you, to the people around you. Your actions have consequences. You can cause harm or provide help. You can create joy or create suffering. These effects are real even if they're temporary. The person you hurt doesn't stop hurting just because the universe is indifferent. The person you help doesn't stop feeling grateful just because cosmic time is vast. Your choices matter on human scales, and those are the scales you live at. So, the cosmic perspective is not an excuse for selfishness or carelessness. It's a tool for clarity, for seeing what really matters versus what seems to matter but doesn't. It's a way to cut through the noise and focus on what's essential. And what's essential for most people is connection, relationships, love, shared experiences, helping others, creating meaning together. These are the things that make life feel worthwhile. Not money or status or possessions or achievement, though those can be means to other ends. But the ends themselves, the things that actually matter, are usually simple and human-scaled. being with people you care about, doing work that feels meaningful, experiencing beauty or joy or wonder, learning and growing. These don't require cosmic significance to be valuable. They're valuable because they're what conscious experience is for. Let's think about legacy. Many people want to leave something behind, to be remembered, to have made a difference that outlasts them. This is natural. We're aware of our mortality. We know we'll die. We want to believe that our life mattered beyond our own experience of it. So we have children, hoping they'll carry on something of us. We create art or write books or build things, hoping they'll survive us. We work for causes we believe in, hoping to make the world better for future generations. These impulses are understandable and often admirable, but it's worth examining what we're really hoping for. If you want to be remembered, how long do you want to be remembered? A generation? 2? 100 years? 1,000? Very few people are remembered for more than a few generations. Your great-great-grandchildren might know your name, maybe a few basic facts about you, but your great-great-great-grandchildren? Probably not. You'll be forgotten, just a name on a family tree if that. And even the most famous people, the ones who seem permanently remembered, won't last forever. We remember Julius Caesar, Shakespeare, Newton, Einstein. But will people remember them in 10,000 years? Maybe. Will they remember them in 1,000,000 years? Unlikely. Will they remember them in 1,000,000,000 years? Almost certainly not. Everything is forgotten eventually. Entropy erases all records. The universe doesn't keep track. So, if legacy is about being remembered, it's temporary at best. But maybe legacy isn't about being remembered personally. Maybe it's about contributing to something larger, about making the world better in some small way. This is more reasonable. You can contribute to human knowledge or happiness or justice or beauty. You can help people. You can teach. You can create. These contributions might outlast you even if your name is forgotten. The knowledge might persist. The art might survive. The people you helped might remember the help even if they forget who helped. This is a more modest and more achievable form of legacy. But even this is temporary. Human civilization will end. Maybe in centuries, maybe in millennia, maybe in millions of years if we're very lucky and very capable. But eventually, Earth will become uninhabitable. If humanity survives, it will have to leave Earth. And even if we spread to other planets, other star systems, we're still limited by cosmic time. Stars burn out, galaxies drift apart. The universe goes dark. Everything we build, everything we know, everything we are, will eventually be lost. There's no cosmic permanence, no eternal legacy. Everything ends. This might sound depressing, and it can be if you're attached to the idea of permanence, if you need your life to have cosmic significance. But if you can let go of that need, it's actually liberating. You don't have to achieve cosmic permanence. You just have to live, to experience, to connect, to do what feels meaningful to you while you're here. The fact that it won't last forever doesn't make it meaningless. It makes it precious. Temporary things are often more valuable than permanent things. A beautiful sunset is precious partly because it's fleeting. A conversation with someone you love is meaningful partly because you won't have infinite conversations. You'll have a finite number, and then they'll end. And That finality makes each one matter more. The same is true for your life. You have a finite number of days, a finite number of experiences, a finite number of chances to connect with others, to learn something, to create something, to help someone. Each one matters because you won't have infinite chances. You won't get to do it again. This isn't depressing. It's clarifying. It tells you to pay attention, to be present, to choose carefully, to not waste time on things that don't matter, because time is the only resource you truly have, and it's running out. Now, let's think about the future, about time beyond your life. Humanity might survive for a long time. We're adaptable, we're creative, we've survived ice ages and droughts and plagues and wars. We've spread across the planet. We've developed technology that allows us to modify our environment rather than just adapting to it. We might survive for thousands or millions of years. We might spread beyond Earth to other planets, other star systems. We might become something other than what we are now, genetically modified, augmented with technology, uploaded into computers. We might evolve or transform in ways we can't currently imagine. But even with the most optimistic projections, humanity has limits. Earth will become uninhabitable in about 1 billion years as the sun heats up. We'd have to leave. And even if we do, the universe itself has limits. The sun will die in about 5 billion years. All stars will die eventually. The universe will go dark. And even before that, the expansion of the universe will accelerate due to dark energy. Galaxies will drift apart faster than light can travel between them. The observable universe will shrink. Distant galaxies will disappear beyond the cosmic horizon. Future civilizations, if any exist, will be isolated, alone in darkness, unable to see or reach other galaxies. This future is trillions of years away, incomprehensibly far, but it's coming. The universe has a finite future as well as a finite past. There's no eternal flourishing, no permanent cosmic civilization. Everything tends toward entropy, toward disorder, toward heat death. The universe will eventually reach a state of maximum entropy where no useful energy remains. No structure, no life, no consciousness. Just a cold, dark, uniform sea of particles spread across an ever-expanding space. This is the ultimate fate of everything, inevitable, inescapable. Given enough time, the universe ends. Does this make everything meaningless? Some people think so. If the ultimate fate is heat death, if everything we do will eventually be erased, why bother? Why try? Why create or love or strive? If it all ends in darkness, what's the point? This is a form of cosmic nihilism, the belief that without cosmic permanence, without ultimate meaning, nothing has any meaning at all. But this is a mistake. It confuses scale with significance. Just because something doesn't last forever doesn't mean it doesn't matter. Just because something happens on a small scale doesn't mean it's insignificant. A flower blooms for a week and then dies. Does that mean the flower's bloom doesn't matter? A song lasts for a few minutes. Does that mean the song is meaningless? A meal takes an hour to eat. Does that mean the meal has no value? Of course not. Things can be meaningful without being permanent. They can be significant without being cosmic. The value is in the experience, in the moment, not in the duration or the scale. A beautiful moment is beautiful, whether it lasts a second or a century. A loving relationship is meaningful, whether it lasts a year or a lifetime. The fact that it ends doesn't erase the fact that it happened. Your life is the same. It's brief, it's temporary, it's cosmically insignificant, but it's also real. You're experiencing it right now. The thoughts you're thinking, the feelings you're feeling, the awareness you have, these are real and immediate. They don't require cosmic validation. They don't need to last forever to matter. They matter because they're happening, because you're alive, because consciousness exists in the universe, if only for a brief moment. And that's extraordinary. It's unlikely. It's improbable. It's a tiny island of complexity in a vast sea of entropy. But it's real. The universe is mostly empty space, mostly darkness, mostly nothing. But here and there, in rare pockets, matter has organized itself into planets and stars. And on at least one planet, maybe many, life has emerged. And life has evolved into conscious beings who can think and feel and wonder. This is remarkable. It might be common in the universe. There might be billions of planets with life. But even if it's common, it's still rare compared to the vastness of empty space. And even if it's not rare, it's still meaningful to the beings experiencing it. You don't become less significant just because there are others like you. Your individual experience still matters to you. So here's the perspective cosmic time gives us. You're brief, unimaginably brief. A flash in the darkness, a pattern of atoms that briefly comes together and then disperses. You don't have cosmic significance. You won't be remembered cosmically. You won't leave an eternal legacy. You'll be forgotten. Everything you do will be undone. Everything you create will decay. Everyone you love will die. The species will die. The planet will die. The stars will die. The universe will go dark. This is all true. This is all inevitable. And yet, none of it diminishes the value of your life. None of it makes your experiences less real. None of it means you don't matter. You matter because you exist, because you're conscious, because you can experience joy and love and wonder, because you can connect with others, because you can choose how to spend your time, because you can create meaning in a universe that doesn't come with built-in meaning. Meaning isn't something you discover out there in the cosmos. It's something you create here in your life, through your choices, through your relationships, through what you pay attention to and what you value. The brevity of life doesn't make it meaningless, it makes it precious. You have this moment, this brief window of consciousness, this tiny slice of cosmic time, and what you do with it matters, not cosmically, but humanly, and that's the only kind of mattering there is for a human. Think about what you want to do with your remaining time. However much you have left. It might be decades, it might be days. You don't know. None of us knows. Death can come at any moment. Accidents happen. Illness strikes. You're not guaranteed tomorrow. You're not even guaranteed the next hour. All you have for certain is right now. This moment. This is the only moment you ever truly have. The past is memory. The future is imagination. Only now is real. Only now is lived. And now is brief. It's already passing, already becoming past. Another moment arrives to replace it, and it passes too. This is all there is, an endless stream of present moments, each one brief, each one real, each one yours while it lasts. So, what will you do? Will you drift? Will you let time pass without paying attention? Will you do what's expected rather than what matters to you? Will you put off important things for later, not realizing later might not come? Or will you be present? Will you pay attention? Will you choose intentionally? Will you spend your time on what actually matters to you? Will you connect with the people you love? Will you do work that feels meaningful? Will you experience beauty and joy and wonder while you can? Will you live as if your time is limited, because it is? The cosmic perspective doesn't tell you what to do. It doesn't prescribe values or goals. It just clarifies. It shows you what's real and what's not, what lasts and what doesn't, what matters and what only seems to matter. And what it shows is that everything is brief, everything is temporary, everything is cosmically insignificant, but also that this is okay, that brief things can still be beautiful, temporary things can still be meaningful, insignificant things can still matter to the beings experiencing them. You don't need cosmic validation. You don't need eternal legacy. You don't need to be remembered. You just need to live fully, intentionally, presently, for as long as you have. Because this is all there is, this brief moment, this tiny slice of cosmic time. And it's yours. When you look up at the night sky, you're seeing light from stars that has been traveling for years or centuries to reach you. Some of those stars might already be dead. The light you're seeing left them so long ago that they've since burned out. You're seeing ghosts, echoes of things that no longer exist. In a sense, you're looking back in time. The farther away something is, the farther back in time you're seeing it. The Andromeda galaxy is 2.5 million light years away. When you look at Andromeda, you're seeing it as it was 2.5 million years ago. If something happened there today, we won't know for 2.5 million years. That's how far away it is. That's how long light takes to cross the distance. And we're doing the same thing. The light leaving Earth right now will take years or centuries or millions of years to reach distant stars and galaxies. If there are beings on those distant worlds looking at Earth, they're not seeing Earth as it is now. They're seeing Earth as it was when the light left. If they're looking from 1,000 light years away, they're seeing Earth from the year 1025. Medieval times, if they're looking from 2,000 light years away, they're seeing Earth from around the time of the Roman Empire. If they're looking from 300,000 light years away, they're seeing Earth before humans existed, before Homo sapiens evolved. They're seeing an Earth with different inhabitants, different ecosystems, a different world. In this way, the past still exists, not here, not now, but out there, in the light traveling through space. Every moment that has ever happened on Earth is encoded in light that's spreading outward at the speed of light. Those moments still exist, in a sense, propagating outward into the cosmos. Long after we're gone, long after Earth is gone, that light will still be traveling, carrying images of Earth and its inhabitants, of us, of you. If you've ever been outside, sunlight has reflected off you and traveled into space. That light is now hundreds or thousands or millions of kilometers away, depending on when it happened, and it's still going, still carrying an image of you at that moment. A frozen instant, a snapshot, traveling through space forever or until it hits something. This is another way to think about legacy, not as memory or achievement or impact, but as light, as information propagating through the universe. Every moment of your life creates light that spreads outward. Most of it is absorbed quickly by Earth's atmosphere or surface, but some escapes into space, and that light carries information about you, about Earth, about this moment in cosmic time when humans existed and built civilizations and wondered about their place in the universe. That information is still spreading, still traveling. It won't last forever. Eventually, it will be absorbed or redshifted beyond detection. But for a while, for a long while, in human terms, it exists, a record of our existence, not permanent but real. So, in a way, everything that happens leaves a trace, not a permanent trace, not an indelible mark on the cosmos, but a temporary echo, a wave of information spreading outward at the speed of light, eventually dissipating, eventually lost, but real while it lasts. Your life is like that, a wave, a disturbance in the fabric of space-time, brief, local, temporary, but real. While it lasts, you matter, you have effects, you create ripples, and then you're gone. But the ripples continue for a while, and that's something, not everything, not cosmic immortality, but something. A brief existence in a vast universe, a moment of consciousness in an ocean of entropy, a human life in cosmic time. Let's explore more deeply what it means to be intentional with time. Most people live reactively rather than proactively. They respond to whatever comes up: work demands, family obligations, social expectations, entertainment options. The day fills up with activities, but are they the right activities? Are they aligned with what actually matters? Or are they just whatever happened to present itself? Being intentional means stepping back and asking what you want your life to be about. What experiences do you want to have? What relationships do you want to build? What do you want to learn or create or contribute? And then organizing your time around those things rather than letting time organize itself. This is harder than it sounds because there are always competing demands. You have to work to earn money. You have obligations to family and friends. You need time for basic maintenance like cooking and cleaning and sleeping. You want some time to relax and recharge. With all these necessities, is there even room for intentional choice? The answer is yes, but it requires prioritization. It requires saying no to some things so you can say yes to others. It requires protecting time for what matters most. If relationships matter, you have to schedule time for them. If learning matters, you have to create space for it. If creating something matters, you have to defend that time against other demands. Many people wait. They wait for retirement to do what they really want. They wait for their kids to grow up. They wait for conditions to be perfect. But conditions are never perfect. There's always something in the way, always a reason to wait. And then time passes, and opportunities close, and you realize you waited too long. The time to do things is now, not because you might not have later. You might, but because now is the only time you actually have. Later is hypothetical, now is real. And if you keep deferring what matters to some imaginary future, when conditions will be better, you'll reach the end, having never done those things. This doesn't mean being reckless or irresponsible. You still need to meet your obligations. You still need to plan for the future, but you also need to live in the present, to actually experience your life, rather than constantly preparing for some future life that never quite arrives. Many people spend their 20s preparing for their 30s, their 30s establishing themselves, their 40s raising kids and advancing careers, their 50s saving for retirement, their 60s finally ready to live, but then health problems arise or energy declines. They spent their whole life getting ready to live and never actually lived. Don't be that person. Find ways to live now, to experience joy and connection and meaning now, even in small ways, even while meeting your obligations, because now is all you have. The pressure to achieve can also steal time. Society values achievement, success, accomplishment, moving up, getting more, doing more, being more. There's always another level to reach, another milestone to hit, another person to impress. This creates a treadmill where you're always striving but never arriving, always working towards something but never quite satisfied with what you have. This is exhausting, and it's a trap, because there's no endpoint, no level where you finally feel like you've made it. There's always more, always another comparison, always another person ahead of you, always another goal to pursue. The cosmic perspective helps here too. All achievements are temporary, all success is fleeting. The person who achieves great things and the person who achieves modest things end up in the same place, dead and forgotten. This doesn't mean achievement is meaningless. It can be satisfying. It can provide structure and purpose. It can help others, but it's not the point of life. The point is the experience, the journey, not the destination. And if you're so focused on achieving that you're not experiencing, you're missing the point. You're spending your brief time on Earth striving for things that won't matter once you're gone, instead of experiencing things that matter while you're here. Work occupies a huge portion of most people's lives. If you work 40 hours per week for 40 years, that's about 80,000 hours. If you sleep 8 hours per day, you're awake about 112 hours per week. 40 of those hours are work. That's about 35% of your waking life, more than a third. And that's just the time you're physically at work. Many people also think about work outside of work. Check emails, worry about projects, plan for meetings. The mental space work occupies is even larger than the time. So your work matters, not just for income, though that's important, but for life satisfaction. If you're spending 35% of your waking life doing something you hate, that's a huge drain. That's time you can't get back, time you're not enjoying, time that makes life feel like a burden rather than a gift. This is why finding meaningful work, or at least tolerable work, is so important. Not everyone can have their dream job. Economic constraints are real, but you can look for work that doesn't actively make you miserable. Work that uses your skills, work with decent people, Work that provides some satisfaction or at least doesn't drain you completely. And if you can find work that feels meaningful, that contributes to something you value, that's even better. You'll spend a third of your life working. Make it count, or at least make it not horrible. Another major consumer of time is technology, smartphones, social media, streaming services, video games, the internet. These technologies are designed to be addictive, to capture your attention and hold it. Companies spend billions figuring out how to make their platforms more engaging, more habit-forming, more difficult to put down. And it works. The average person spends hours per day on screens, hours that could be spent on other things, hours that disappear into scrolling and watching and clicking. And at the end of the day, what do you have to show for it? A vague sense that time passed, but nothing really happened. This isn't an argument against technology. Technology is a tool. It can be used well or poorly. The internet gives you access to information, to education, to connection with people around the world. Streaming services provide entertainment and art. Social media can maintain relationships, but these benefits come with costs. The costs are attention, time, mental energy, and, if you're not careful, the costs outweigh the benefits. You spend hours consuming content that doesn't enrich you, comparing yourself to others, getting angry at strangers, watching videos you don't really care about just because the algorithm suggested them. This is time you'll never get back. Time that could have been spent on things that actually matter to you. Being intentional with technology means using it as a tool rather than letting it use you. This requires boundaries, time limits, conscious choices about when and how you engage. It means asking whether what you're doing on your phone right now is actually what you want to be doing, or whether you just picked it up out of habit. It means recognizing when you're in a scroll hole and putting the phone down. It means choosing to be present with people rather than half present while checking notifications. It means protecting your attention, which is your most valuable resource. Relationships are another crucial use of time. The people you care about. The people who care about you. These relationships require time. You can't maintain meaningful connections without spending time together, talking, sharing experiences, being present. And yet, relationships are often the first thing to get squeezed when life gets busy. You defer seeing friends because you're too busy. You don't call family members because you'll do it later. You're physically present with your partner, but mentally elsewhere, thinking about work or checking your phone. And then years pass and you realize you've drifted apart from people who used to be important to you. Not because of any conflict or problem, but simply because you didn't prioritize the relationship. You let time pass without nurturing the connection. This is tragic because relationships are what make life meaningful for most people. Your achievements might give you satisfaction. Your hobbies might bring you joy. But the deepest, most enduring sources of meaning come from connection with others. Love, friendship, family, community. These are the things that matter when you're dying. No one on their deathbed wishes they'd spent more time at the office or made more money or achieved more status. They wish they'd spent more time with people they loved. They wish they'd said the things they meant to say. They wish they'd been more present, more loving, more connected. These are the regrets, and they're all about relationships. So, if relationships matter, and they do, you have to prioritize them. You have to make time. You have to show up. You have to be present when you're together. You have to communicate. You have to resolve conflicts rather than letting them fester. You have to do the work that relationships require. This isn't always easy. Relationships can be difficult. People are complicated. Misunderstandings happen. Conflicts arise. But the alternative is isolation. And humans aren't built for isolation. We're social creatures. We need connection. We need to feel seen and understood and valued by others. Without that, even a materially comfortable life feels empty. The quality of your relationships also matters, not just the quantity. You can have many superficial connections or a few deep ones. Both have value. But the deep connections, the ones where you can be yourself, where you're truly known and accepted, those are the ones that sustain you. Those are the ones worth investing in. Quality time with people you genuinely care about is worth more than endless hours of social obligation with people you don't really like. Be selective. Protect your time for the relationships that actually nourish you. It's okay to say no to social obligations that feel draining. It's okay to let some relationships fade if they're not serving either person. Your time is limited. Spend it with people who make it worthwhile. Let's talk about presence. Being fully engaged with what you're doing right now rather than thinking about the past or worrying about the future or being distracted by something else. This is difficult for most people. Our minds wander. We think about what we need to do later. We ruminate on what happened earlier. We check our phones. We're physically in one place but mentally elsewhere. This means we're not fully experiencing our lives. We're half present at best, and this robs us of the richness of experience. You miss the details, the small moments, the connections. Life passes by, and you barely notice because you're not really there. Presence requires practice. Meditation can help. So can mindfulness techniques. But fundamentally, it's about choosing to pay attention, to notice what you're experiencing, to engage fully with what's in front of you. When you're with someone, actually listen to them, look at them, be curious about what they're saying. When you're eating, actually taste the food, notice the flavors, the textures. When you're walking, notice your surroundings, the sky, the trees, the sounds. These seem like small things, but they're what life is made of. These moments, these experiences, and if you're not present for them, you miss them. They happen without you. Being present also means accepting what is rather than wishing it were different. This doesn't mean you can't work to change things, but it means you accept the reality of now. This moment is what it is. Fighting against reality, wishing things were different, resenting what's happening, these create suffering. They prevent you from engaging with what then actually is. And what actually is all you have. The past is gone. The future hasn't arrived. Only now is real. Only now can be experienced. And if you're not here for it, you're not really living. You're lost in thoughts about times that don't exist anymore or haven't happened yet. This is especially important near the end of life. Elderly people often report that the last years, even the last days, can be rich and meaningful if they're lived with presence and acceptance. The knowledge that time is short can bring clarity. It can strip away the unimportant and reveal what actually matters. Many people near death report feeling at peace, not happy about dying, but accepting it. And with that acceptance comes the ability to be fully present for the time that remains, to appreciate simple things, to connect deeply with loved ones, to say what needs to be said, to complete the arc of their life consciously rather than drifting into death unaware. You don't have to wait until you're dying to gain this clarity. You can choose to live this way now, to recognize that your time is limited, even if you don't know exactly how limited. To let that recognition guide your choices, to be present, to prioritize what matters, to let go of what doesn't. The cosmic perspective provides this same clarity. When you see how brief everything is, how temporary all things are, it becomes obvious what matters and what doesn't. And what matters is simple: connection, experience, presence, love. These are the things that make a brief life worthwhile. These are the things you'll remember when you're old. These are the things that give meaning to the tiny slice of cosmic time you get to experience. Consider how different cultures relate to time. Western industrialized cultures tend to be future-oriented, always planning, always optimizing, always trying to be more productive. Time is money, efficiency is valued, multitasking is praised. There's always pressure to do more, faster, better. This creates stress. It creates a sense of never having enough time, always running behind, always feeling like you should be doing something else or doing it differently. Other cultures have different relationships with time. Some are more present-oriented, less concerned with planning or efficiency, more focused on enjoying the moment, on relationships, on experiences. Neither approach is inherently better. Both have strengths and weaknesses. But it's worth recognizing that your relationship with time is culturally conditioned. It's not the only way. It's not natural or inevitable. It's learned. You can choose a different relationship with time. You can slow down. You can prioritize presence over productivity. You can value experience over achievement. You can say no to the pressure to constantly do more. This requires going against cultural norms. It requires resisting the voice that says you're wasting time if you're not being productive. But it's possible. And for many people, it leads to a richer, more satisfying life. Because productivity isn't the goal. Living is the goal. Experiencing is the goal. Connecting is the goal. These things don't require optimizing every moment. They require being fully engaged with the moments you have. The fear of death underlies much of how we relate to time. We know we're mortal. We know time is limited, and this creates anxiety, a sense of urgency, a fear of running out of time before we've accomplished what we want to accomplish. This fear can be motivating. It can push us to take action, to pursue goals, to not waste time. But it can also be paralyzing. It can create so much pressure that we freeze. Or it can drive us to pursue the wrong things, to chase external markers of success because we're afraid of being forgotten, to prioritize achievement over experience because achievement feels like it might last. This fear is natural, but it doesn't have to control you. Accepting mortality, truly accepting it, can be liberating, not denying it or ignoring it, but actually accepting that you will die and everything you do will be temporary. This acceptance allows you to let go of the need for permanence. You don't have to achieve something that lasts forever. You don't have to be remembered. You just have to live, to experience, to connect, and then to let go. This is the natural arc of life: birth, growth, maturity, decline, death. Every living thing follows this pattern. Resisting it creates suffering. Accepting it creates peace. You can still strive, still achieve, still create, but you do it from a place of acceptance rather than fear. You do it because it's meaningful to you now, not because you're trying to escape mortality. There's also something beautiful about impermanence. Things are precious partly because they're temporary. If everything lasted forever, nothing would be special. A flower is beautiful partly because it blooms for a short time. A sunset is moving partly because it only lasts a few minutes. A moment with a loved one is meaningful partly because there are only so many. Impermanence creates value. It creates urgency, yes, but also appreciation. If you're aware that this moment is temporary, you pay more attention to it. You're more present. You appreciate it more fully. Eternal things would be taken for granted. Temporary things demand attention. Your life is like that flower, that sunset, that moment, brief, temporary, impermanent, and therefore precious. Every day you wake up is a gift, not in some cliché sense, but literally. You've been given another day, another set of moments to experience, another chance to connect, to learn, to create, to enjoy. These days are limited in number. They'll run out. But for now, you have today, right now, this moment, and you can choose what to do with it. You can waste it worrying about the future or regretting the past. Or you can be here, fully present, fully engaged, fully alive. The choice is yours. Let's think about what you want to be true about your life when it ends. This is a useful thought experiment. Imagine you're 90 years old, looking back. What do you want to have done? What do you want to have experienced? What relationships do you want to have built? What do you want to have learned or created? What do you want to be able to say about how you spent your time? Now, work backward. If that's what you want your life to be about, what needs to happen? What choices do you need to make? What do you need to prioritize? What do you need to let go of? This creates clarity. It helps you see what matters and what doesn't. Many people, when doing this exercise, realize they're not living in alignment with their values. They want their life to be about relationships, but they're spending all their time working. They want to have adventures, but they never take time off. They want to create something, but they never make space for it. There's a gap between what they value and how they actually spend their time. This gap creates regret, but it also creates opportunity. Because if you see the gap, you can close it. You can make different choices. You can reorganize your time. You can say no to things that don't align with your values and yes to things that do. It's not easy, but it's possible, and it's necessary if you want your life to reflect what you actually care about. Another useful question is what you would do if you knew you only had a year to live. Would you keep doing what you're doing? Would you keep spending time the way you're spending it? Or would you change things? And if you would change things, what does that tell you? It tells you that you're not living as if time is limited, even though it is. You're deferring, waiting, putting off. Maybe you wouldn't have a full year. Maybe you'd have less. You don't know. None of us knows. So why not live now as if time is limited? Because it is, not in the sense of immediate crisis, but in the sense of fundamental finitude. Your days are numbered. You just don't know the number. So live accordingly. Do what matters. Don't wait. This doesn't mean being reckless. You still need to meet your obligations. You still need to plan responsibly. But it means not deferring joy or connection or meaning to some hypothetical future when conditions will be perfect. It means living now, finding ways to experience what matters now, even in small ways, even alongside your obligations. It means making time for what's important rather than hoping you'll have time later, because later is not guaranteed. Now is all you have for certain. The cosmic perspective also helps with anxiety about the future. Climate change, political instability, economic uncertainty, technological disruption. There are many reasons to worry about the future. The world faces real challenges. Things could get worse, probably will get worse in some ways. But here's the thing. Even if the worst happens, even if human civilization collapses, even if the species goes extinct, it's still a tiny blip in cosmic time, a brief flourishing followed by a brief collapse. From a cosmic perspective, it barely registers. This doesn't mean we shouldn't try to prevent catastrophe. We should, but it means that even catastrophe isn't cosmically significant. The universe won't care. Other species will survive or evolve or go extinct. The Earth will continue until the sun dies. The cosmos will continue its slow evolution toward heat death. Our fate, whatever it is a local event. This can be comforting. The stakes feel lower when you zoom out. Yes, human suffering matters. Yes, we should work to prevent it. But we don't have to carry the weight of cosmic significance. We don't have to save the universe. We just have to do what we can in our brief time, to help where we can help, to create where we can create, to love where we can love, and to accept that our influence is limited, our time is limited, our control is limited. We do what we can, and then we let go. We don't have to fix everything. We don't have to solve all problems. We just have to live our lives as well as we can, with compassion and wisdom and courage for as long as we have. There's also something freeing about recognizing that the future is uncertain. You don't know what will happen. You don't know how things will turn out. You can plan and prepare, but ultimately, much is beyond your control. This is uncomfortable if you crave certainty, but it's also liberating, because if the future is uncertain, then anything is possible. Things might get worse, but they also might get better. New solutions might emerge. People might surprise you. The unexpected might happen. Holding the future lightly with open hands rather than clenched fists allows you to respond flexibly to what comes rather than rigidly clinging to plans that might not work out. Let's return to the beginning, to the hook that started this exploration. humanity represents 0.00014% of the universe's existence. We're unimaginably brief. Everything we've done, everything we are, everything we might become fits into the last instant of cosmic time. And your individual life is a tiny fraction of that instant. You're brief beyond brief, temporary beyond temporary, insignificant beyond insignificant from a cosmic perspective. And yet, you're here. You're conscious. You're experiencing. You matter to yourself and to others. You create meaning through your choices and relationships and experiences. You're living right now, in this special moment when the universe is knowable and stars still shine and complex life is possible. This is the paradox. You're both insignificant and precious, brief and meaningful, temporary and real. The cosmic perspective doesn't resolve this paradox. It holds both truths simultaneously. You don't matter cosmically, but you matter humanly. And human mattering is the only kind that's real for a human. The universe doesn't provide meaning. You do. Through how you live, what you value, who you love, what you create. These things don't need cosmic validation. They're inherently meaningful because they're your experience of being alive. And that experience, however brief, is all you have. It's everything. It's your life. So live it. Don't drift. Don't defer. Don't waste time on things that don't matter, waiting for some future moment to do what matters. Do it now. Be present now. Connect now. Love now. Learn now. Create now. Experience now. Because now is all there is. The past is memory. The future is imagination. Only now is real. Only now is lived. And it's already passing, already becoming past, already being replaced by the next now. This endless stream of present moments is your life. Each one brief, each one real, each one yours. Don't miss them. Don't sleep through them. Don't let them pass unnoticed. Be here. Be present. Be alive for as long as you have. Every moment you're alive is a moment the universe is experiencing itself through you. You are consciousness. You are awareness. You are the cosmos awakened. And that awakening, brief as it is, matters. It's the universe knowing itself, understanding itself, appreciating its own beauty and vastness and mystery. This happens through you, through your thoughts, through your wonder, through your questions about existence and meaning and time. You're not separate from the cosmos observing it from outside. You're part of it, made of it. The same atoms that were forged in ancient stars. The same energy that's flowed through the universe since the Big Bang. Temporarily organized into a pattern that can think and feel and wonder. That pattern is you, and it won't last. But while it does, it's extraordinary. Thank you for taking this journey through cosmic time with me. If this perspective changed how you see things, a like or subscribe really helps keep this channel making explorations like this. And remember, you're living in an incredibly special moment. Not just your personal moment, but cosmic moment. Stars are still shining. Planets are still habitable. The universe is still knowable. You exist at a time when you can look up at the night sky and see the cosmos, understand it, wonder about it. You exist during the brief window when complex life is possible, when consciousness can emerge and contemplate its own existence. This won't last forever, but it's happening now. You're part of it, and that's extraordinary. Good night, and may you never look at time the same way again.